Today we are going to be looking at how to select an appropriate display. So we're going to determine an appropriate display, which means like which kind of graph for a real world situation. So to start, we have lots of different graphs that we need to look about and think about. I did take a quick screenshot of this slide and upload it onto the Schoology post. So if you need to refer back to this at any time, it is there and available to you. So a bar graph is going to be used when it's showing the number of items in specific categories. I think you guys know what a bar graph looks like, but there's a little graphic of one there. We've been learning about box plots a lot. Box plots are going to show measures of variation for a data set, and it's also useful when you have very large sets of data. So large sets of data, I don't want to graph every single number, so I'm just going to be graphing, the three medians and then my minimum and maximum. So that's when a box plot is mainly used. Circle graphs, it's when it's comparing parts of the data to the whole. A key word with circle graphs is whenever you hear the word percentages, that means you're probably going to be using a circle graph. A double bar graph, it's going to be just like a bar graph, just with you have two sets of categorical data. So, if you wanted to know the number of boys and girls that both thought chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream was the best, you'd have chocolate on there, but then you'd have one bar in one color for boys and another bar another color for girls. A histogram is going to look exactly like a bar graph if you look over here, except you'll notice that the bars are going to be touching. That's a major difference between a bar graph and a histogram. But the other major difference is that the frequency of data is divided into equal intervals. So instead of saying, okay, like this many people who are 5 like soccer, this many people who are 6 like soccer, and 7 and 8. So instead of graphing each age individually, it would say, okay, this many people between 5 to 8. This many people from um, 9 to 12. Okay, so it would be grouping them together, so it's more than one number together. That's what an interval would be. A line graph, okay, that's going to show change over a period of time. So that's a huge thing. Okay, when you're doing things change over time, a line graph is going to be useful. And then a line plot is going to show the frequency of data with a number line. So if you are, keeping track of something as you're doing it, a line plot would be very helpful. If you're like, when you're playing roller derby and you want to keep track of what you get for the sum of the dice, you can't make a graph as you're going because you don't know how many times you're going to roll a 7. But you can make this graph as you go because you can just put the X's every single time you get a sum of 7 or sum of 9 or so on. So data displays, many situations have more than one appropriate data display. We're just going to try to figure out which is the best one. And when you want to decide which type of data display, you want to use these questions. What type of information is given? What do you want to display the data display to show? And how will the display be analyzed? So when we look at this here, I'm not going to have you guys do this unless you'd want to, but this is another great way to practice this. So if you're looking for an extra practice tool, I'll include this on the Schoology assignment. But if you go here and it is just going to be something called study jams, choosing the correct graph, you can just Google search it, or again, I'll post it on there. But if you go through step by step, it'll go through, and I'm not going to do all of them. So as I said, it's process elimination. So then you'd click on next and you'd go through and you try to figure out step by step, does a graph work? Why or why not? And then you'll eventually figure out which one it is. So if you're interested, I'll have that on there if you would like some extra practice on this, if you're getting kind of confused on what to do. So we're going to look at just a couple quick examples. So if I wanted to select an appropriate display to show the number of boys of different age ranges that participate in athletics, which kind of graph would I want to use? Okay, because it says different age ranges, I would definitely think that a histogram would be the best option. Now, could you choose like just a bar graph or possibly even like a circle graph? Yes, but because it has different age ranges, a histogram, that keyword is what shows me histogram would be my best option. So if I look at my next one here, if I want to select an appropriate display for the percentage of students in each grade at a middle school, what kind of graph should I do here? So because it says percent is always going to give me the clue that I'm looking for a circle or a pie chart. I'd say a circle graph would be what a choice for this one. Okay, one more quick one for you here. If I'm looking at this one and I have the table list the ticket prices for the school musicals during the recent years, and I want to select an appropriate display to predict the ticket sale for 2013. So obviously this is very outdated because stops at 2012. We're in 2020 right now, but again, our book's a little old, but it still is a great book. So which display would I choose? Okay, I'm hoping because it's talking about the number of years and it's talking about how things have changed over the years. I hope you guys figured out and you would have guessed that a line graph would be the best option here for you. Okay, and you can kind of see if you were to make this line graph, you can see it's kind of going to go up and going to be closer to about 750 that it would be. So what you guys are going to be doing is if this was kind of confusing and again you didn't really understand how to figure out which graph is best, I highly recommend you guys go on this website that I provided and it's on Study Jams and you kind of go through and learn a little bit more about the graphs that way. But today you're going to be doing a Google slide where you're going to be making the different kinds of graphs and then you're going to be doing an IXL practice to figure out which graph you would use the most. Good luck with this all.